These are his most phenomenal matches so far. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the very best matches of AJ Styles in WWE. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we'll be limiting ourselves to the Phenomenal One's WWE run and recommending his most impressive performances. We're sticking to one entry per opponent unless it's a multi-man match. So without further ado, get ready to fly. Number 10 versus Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens versus John Cena. Fastlane 2018. It's the classic WWE mentality. When you don't know what match to book, just throw a bunch of your top blokes in and hope it works out. Well, much to everyone's surprise, it actually did. It wasn't exactly wrestling at its finest, but certainly at its funnest, with all 6 competitors putting on a non-stop show that didn't let you blink. Here Styles and the gang prove that sometimes you can have a good match even with Corbin involved. Bravo. Number 9 versus Chris Jericho. WrestleMania 32. It wasn't the first time that these two had faced off, and by this point their feud was stagnating a little. But nevertheless, Styles and Jericho managed to put on a match that was far better than any of their previous encounters. Standing out as the best wrestling match of the night, the only real downside here was Jericho winning, which kinda killed the Phenomenal One's momentum. But of course, if he had to lose to anyone, it might as well be Y2J. Number 8 versus Dean Ambrose. TLC 2016. It's hard to separate one TLC match from the rest of the crowd, but leave it to Styles to put on a classic. When the feud reached a boiling point, it was decided that the best way for these two to find who should hold the belt was to hoist it up atop the ring. Chairs were thrown, tables broken, and spines bent, but the deciding factor was something far more horrifying: James Ellsworth. Number 7 versus Roman Reigns. Extreme Rules 2016. In another match that exceeded expectations, AJ sought to take the gold from the huge hound. They took the fight all around the arena and beat 7 bells out of each other. It was a scenario where Roman could actually put on a powerhouse offense, throwing AJ all over the place and actually pulling off some pretty neat moves. The two clearly had great chemistry with one another. The crowd was quite firmly behind Styles, but it just wasn't his night. Number 6 versus Shane McMahon. WrestleMania 33. When we heard that they were throwing away his second WrestleMania belt on the boss's son, we said that we don't want none. But in reality, the match ended up being far better than it had any right to be. You might argue that Styles carried Shane throughout the bout, but Shane put on a solid performance himself. It ended with Styles beating the tar out of Shane, and somehow that marked the start of Styles' much needed face turn. Number 5 versus Shinsuke Nakamura. WrestleMania 34. The much awaited rematch to Styles vs Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan, which some might argue is his greatest match of all time. This time the two stepped on the grandest stage of them all. Their friendly rivalry was built up with Nakamura's promise to knee him in the face, but in the actual match, Styles was able to counter at every turn. It didn't quite live up to expectations, but let's face it, it was far better than most of the other matches that night, and the Nakamura heel turn was fantastic. Number 4 versus Dean Ambrose versus John Cena. No Mercy 2016. Another match that you might mistake for a bit of a throwaway. When AJ Styles defended his title against SmackDown's 2 biggest babyfaces, the results were pretty damn good. Highlights include Dean and John making Styles tap at the same time, and pretty much any other time the two had enough of his shenanigans and decided they wanted to throttle him. AJ played the heel role to perfection, and his slippery victory cemented him as the face that runs the place. Number 3 versus Finn Balor. TLC 2017. When a case of viral meningitis shocked the Raw roster, it was up to Styles to save the day with a phenomenal performance. The man he faced? None other than Finn Balor, who had his sights set on victory. The match of course did not disappoint, with the in-ring action being top-notch, but the real story here was the fact that 2 former Bullet Club leaders were facing off for the very first time, giving this match incredible underlying significance for the 2 stars. Number 2 versus Brock Lesnar. Survivor Series 2017. We were all expecting a squash match, but instead we got an awesome competition. The Beast was at the top of his game, with very few opponents putting up a fight, so when it came time for a champion versus champion match, the hype levels were pretty high. AJ looked like an absolute star, putting up an incredible fight against the seemingly unbeatable Lesnar, even making us believe for a few moments that he might actually win. We're grateful for this match for more reasons than one, since it saved us from the horror that could have been Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal. Oh boy. Number 1 versus John Cena, Royal Rumble 2017. There's no doubt that John and AJ had a terrific series of matches, so it can be a daunting task to pick which one is best of all. But we've got to give it to their World Championship match at Royal Rumble, because it was a culmination of everything that they had been through before it, each calling back to spots from their previous encounters and using some mind-blowing moves to counter them. It was short, sweet, and a showcase of two of the best wrestling talents today.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from Watch Mojo and subscribe for new videos every day.